Jen, guess what the minimum wage for wait staff, waiters and waitresses is currently?
Well, it was like $2 when I was working. I think.
It's $2.13 an hour.
That sounds about right.
Right
So
now.
then it was probably $1.13 when I was working.
God.
I mean, waiting. I've worked my whole life. But.
So, you know, how Trump has. So a lot of people are up in arms right now because Trump said he was going to do no tax on tips.
Uh-huh.
And the people are doing the big reveal. Hello, dummies. People already aren't paying taxes on tips.
Not on cash because they can't track cash.
Exactly. So people are complaining that that's already kind of a thing, right? And that they are taxing regular, like credit card tips. You see?
So they're
saying if you're
taxing credit cards.
they're continuing taxing.
Then it is the same thing.
Like anything that's, if you write a check or if you use a credit card, they're not.
But they used to say
They're taxing it.
I'm sure there's a spot where it says claim your cash tips, and you're supposed to write down how much you made, right?
What are you making me?
Well, I think I'm gonna do BLT.
Nice.
So you want yours on lettuce, right? I think you should have one piece of sourdough
Okay.
toast.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm still hacking from the other day
I know.
of having yeast.
Sorry.
So you were a waitress. I was a bartender.
I loved being
Back-
a waitress.
back
I
in the
loved
day.
It. It was so fun.
Yeah. And the reason you loved it and the reason you prospered is because you were young and cute. And you were really, really good.
I was really good at it.
Does that sound unfair to say that you were young and you were cute? That's why you were doing so well?
Yes.
It's true, though.
It's because I just kicked ass.
It is true in part, right?
Yeah.
So,
I guess.
but what do you think about that Trump tax saying, it's not Trump, it's the federal government,
Yeah.
but they're
I think
they're actually taxing tips.
they're going to continue taxing tips.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's pushing for not taxing tips. Credit card tips.
Yeah, so I think what they have to do is keep progressing with that and make it to where no tips are taxed, whether they be credit card or
Yeah.
cash tips.
It only makes sense.
So let me explain my theory on tips. I personally, it's like a lot of hot button issues. I don't like it, but sometimes I like it.
I loved it.
Okay. You loved it again because you did very well.
Because I hustled and
you have a
it
great-
was like the beginning of my sales career.
Yeah,
You know, if you sell a lot and you're good at it, you make a lot of money.
And you had a great personality. Yeah, exactly. You did really well. But there's some
Still do.
people
Still do.
there's some people that aren't blessed with your charm and they didn't look like you. And so they didn't do as well.
I don't know.
And there's some people that are just
I don't think that's true.
kind of assholes, and I don't want to tip them sometimes. But we tip really well.
We tip really well.
So here's the thing with tipping. Tipping started in the kind of late 19th century, and they said that it was to exploit ex-slaves.
It started in Europe, right?
Yeah, but in this country, they say it started in like the 1850s, 60s.
But it's funny now. They don't tip in Europe anymore.
In
Europeans come
parts
over
of
here.
Europe. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, it was started a long time ago, and it's arguable how it came into being and why. But the thing that is happening is that we are basically, when we go to a restaurant, either way, whether there's tipping or not, we're paying for everything. We're paying for the lettuce and tomatoes and bacon and
That makes sense.
we're paying for the dishwashing detergent. We're paying for everything. We're paying the staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way they have it set up now is you're paying more for you're paying for the staff through your tips.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying them either way. They're going to get.
You're gonna end up paying for it either way.
Yeah, as a business, you need to be compensated for what you're offering, and what you're offering is service and food, right? And the cleaning of the plates, the setting of the table, etc. So you're going to pay for it either way, but what they're doing is making it more awkward. So it's like this. You go to a restaurant and they're saying, pay the waiter or waitress some of the money that you owe us, and then pay us the rest of the money that you owe us. And they split it up between the two entities. It's just more awkward and less direct. So,
and not always guaranteed.
Right. In a sense, it would be better if they paid their wait staff properly, and then you paid them for providing food and wait staff.
But with tipping, you can make a lot more.
I know, and I think there's some wonderful things about it. And when anybody who's gotten a 50 or 100, and between the 8s,
nice.
70s, and now is like, you've got a taste of that, and you really relish it.
Yes,
I get that.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I think it's just too troublesome. And I would prefer we go back to they pay the staff, and in an extravagant occasions, you're like, then a tip means something. Then you're saying, wow, you're a spectacular server.
To ensure prompt service.
Exactly. That's the acronym, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it then becomes a more meaningful event when you hand somebody a 10 or a 50 or whatever. Then,
you're not really insuring it because you already got the service.
Exactly.
And you don't know what service you're going to get in the beginning.
And you've already paid for excellent service, presumably.
Yeah. Also, tipping kind of it definitely incents the waiter or waitress to sell more products. So it's a definite win for the employer.
Right.
But then it's also a win for the waiter or waitress, because the more they sell, the more they're going to make. Hopefully.
They increase the bottom line,
exactly.
And you're tipped on the bottom line,
exactly.
Right? Before taxes, actually.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm telling you, I loved it. I was hustling and selling as much as I could.
The concept, in theory, it should really work, because it's to ensure a prompt service, like you said, and you expect to get better with that expectation of tip. But I just don't notice it working that way. I notice sometimes it works that way, sometimes it doesn't.
It's like a catch-22 for those people, because they're not working as hard, or they just don't like doing it. They don't like their job, and it shows in the way they treat people. But then they're going to not like their job even more, because they're not getting tipped as much as they would have if they liked their job and were happy and hustling.
This is why
so it's like
some people will follow waiters and waitresses. They'll go where they go. Like, I want good service. This is why I don't go to counter restaurants. I don't like places like Chipotle. I don't like that experience.
Yeah, I don't either.
Or Subway,
I'd rather go
as much as sitting down and being served and treating a waiter or waitress really well.
Yes.
But I like the service aspect of it. Like, I don't have to go to the...
But with those places, they get paid more, and they don't expect to have tips.
Yeah.
Because but they do put their tip jars out, which...
It's also convoluted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, sometimes you get a waiter or waitress who's nasty and just having a bad day, and you don't feel like tipping them, and you're like, I'm not giving this like you and I have that argument. When we have rude waiters, I'm saying, I am not giving this person 20%.
But I'm saying that's how they earn their money.
Yeah. But if you're working as a waiter and you're going to be rude, you're in the wrong business, and I shouldn't profit you because you're an a-hole. I'm not going to be part of that. That's why I don't like it. That's the part of it I don't like, is it's an awkward thing.
Well, then they learn that they need to be nice and
But
charming and happy. And
you told me recently about a restaurant in Wilmington that says they tipping is not. No, it was at a resort. Tipping is not allowed.
Yeah. It was Bahamas, I think.
At that resort, you're still paying the waiters, the servers, right?
But you're paying it in the fee that you pay.
Exactly. You're paying the hotel, and they're paying, and they're just charging you more.
So if there was no tipping, it would just be more expensive for the food.
Exactly. That's right. The restaurant is going to get it either way.
Yeah.
And so you're either going to pay them or you're going to pay their staff.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
it's just like taxes. You're always gonna owe it.
Did I get my good morning hug yet?
I think you got a few.
I'll get it after
hugs.
breakfast. I'll give you a tip, lady. All right, I'll give you a hug. That'll be your tip. Just the tip. Okay. Anyway, I didn't have a talk planned, but I was just kind of stunned when I got curious about it, so I was looking up
Tipping.
minimum wage for
yeah.
wait staff.
It's pretty amazing that it's still only $2.
$2.13.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
okay. Let's see.
All right, that's that. Let's eat.
Okay. I made homemade yogurt in my yogurt maker.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a really hard time getting in there.
There we go.
And you have long nails. I love this.
It's so good for you. It
You
has
made
so
one.
many
You made a
probiotics.
yogurt a few weeks ago that was so tart and better than
yeah.
any yogurt I've ever
I wonder
had.
if this is going to be tart. You know why? Because I left it too long while it was incubating.
Well, this was left overnight, so.
Yeah. Here we go again. Okay. Pickles?
All right.
Yes.
Anyway, tell us your thoughts about tipping if you are working as a waiter or waitress or whatever capacity where you get tips. Tell us your experiences. Tell us how you feel when you get stiffed and why you get stiffed, and what kind of people stiff you. Is there a certain type of person that might stiff you? Is there a certain type of person that might tip you really well?
Hey, you stiff me all the time.
Jen. No,
Sorry, I
honey,
couldn't
no,
resist.
no. Enough of the jokes, all right? Anyway,
It's kind of like it. That's what he said.
thank you for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the channel. Talk soon.